Hey guys, Phobos here, coming out with another guide video, and this time it's going to be about the Scion leveling. And as I said in the other video, I wanted to make this a separate video because it's a bit different, kind of weird start on the Scion tree, and going to be talking about some things that are not Flame Blast Totem, basically. It's not going to be a general leveling video. If you want a general leveling video, I'll link that in the description. I just made one of those as well that I'll be posting. But this is going to be just more towards what skills do I use on Scion, how do I path, etc. Obviously, this is the Scion character I have brought up right now, as you can see, but this isn't the pathing that you use because obviously we have our full Ascendancy here, so we have our Path of the Shadow, which lets us start in Shadow, and normally we're going to have to start in Scion. So I'll get right into it. First of all, though, the way you level as Scion is going to be contingent on whether you level in a group or not, because if you level in a group, you're going to have more options because you're going to have more skill gems earlier in the game. You get all the gems at level 28, but obviously for starting skills, it kind of affects what you can do if you're playing solo. So I actually leveled this character solo, and because I leveled it solo, I went SRS. If I wasn't leveling it solo and I had access to Firestorm, I'd probably have somebody get me a Firestorm, just because I'm not super experienced leveling with SRS, and it was fine, but I think, although SRS is probably better single target, I prefer Firestorm for just running through most of the game. And then inevitably at level 28, I did end up going Flame Blast Totem, because you can get all the components for that at that level easily. But to start off, since we're going SRS, if we assume solo, I normally start off in the mana section. I take the mana regen. The mana regen is always nice because SRS takes up a lot of mana actually, and just getting this mana isn't bad either, and you end up getting Shaper, which is more mana regen, and a nice bit of life regen at the start, which is definitely nice as well because most of the time you're not really expecting to have life regen at the start of the game, I feel like, so it's kind of like a refreshing change. So you path out the left side of Scion basically, and then I go up normally. The reason why I go up is because you want to get elemental equilibrium as quick as possible, because it just gives you like a massive damage bonus. And the idea here is that your minions aren't actually you, so you can hit the mob with something like, I believe you use Orb of Storms typically, and then it'll change the resistances of their fire and cold super low. And the cold is actually important later on when you start to get hatred as an aura, but in the beginning it really only matters that it's reducing the fire damage because SRS is like part fire, I believe 50% fire, 50% fizz. So yeah, you basically want to get elemental equilibrium as soon as possible, and then there's damage nodes over here. I actually didn't get these at first because I'm kind of an idiot and I didn't realize that there was minion damage nodes here. You could possibly look into getting this node as well, the leech. I'm not really sure how useful it is with SRS. I didn't have a problem without it, but could be something that's good. So it basically came up here, and then I picked up some life, because by this point you're kind of on a life drought, because you don't really start next to any life unless you're talking about the life tree. That's another thing you can do, is if you don't really care about collecting the life, is you can kind of come up this way, but then just get tons of life. You can come down this way as well, just to this life wheel, and pick up tons of life there. Getting the life wheel is kind of nice because what it allows for is, like, at any point in time when you feel you need more life, or if, let's say, you want to grind, like, oh, I need to grind 5 more levels because I feel like I'm super low life, right? Well, each of those 5 levels, you're not going to waste any points getting to anywhere, right? They're each going to be a life gain, and it's going to get you significantly more tanky. So there's nothing wrong with going down there and getting a bit of that life wheel. You're obviously just going to miss out on some damage, so my plan was to make the character into a totem character. So obviously I came up this way, and basically got Ancestral Bond around level 28 when you transition, and was using just these damage nodes and elemental equilibrium for the start. So yeah, that's pretty much how I started my Scion, and respecking it, huh? So I think what I did from there is I got the totem nodes. Then I actually, because I ended up going down to get the life as well. Initially, on this Freezing Pulse Totem build, I had picked up Totemic Zeal, and I was experimenting with getting more life through here. But then ultimately I decided that I was just going to like fully invest in trying to go Shadow with the Path of the Shadow, so I kind of realized I could save a bunch of points here. But this isn't like really a bad build, it's just probably less optimized. It gets more health, but less damage, basically. So basically, once I was like level 28, I was up to here, and I had started to get some of these life nodes, I feel like. I probably got Mind Over Matter as well. So I think at that point I pathed into this stuff from the bottom here for some reason. Not entirely sure why. I probably should have just came in through this way. But, and then I went across to this side and then started collecting all these nodes. Now, basically, you want to... You're not going to get Uber Lab for a bit, which means you're not going to have Path of the Shadow for a bit, which means you don't really have to worry about respecking all this stuff right away. But when you do get to like probably like level, I don't know, like 85 to 90, and you decide to do Uber Lab, or you can do it earlier depending on, you know, what kind of gear you have and stuff like that. But I typically level fairly fast, so I feel like I'm normally 85, 90 by the time I would attempt it anyway. And then you also have to remember you have to do the trials, which can be a pain in the ass because you won't always get all the right trials you need. So by the time you're getting Uber Lab, you basically, it's kind of simple. You just need to connect from here, right? Because normally you wouldn't really get this, although it is good to get because it is efficient. But you're obviously coming down here mostly for the crit multi, right? And because it branches off to this as well, the Doomcast. So that's why you come down here in the first place. So you'll be at here, and then you get your life, and then you get your coordination node. And then you'll get, so you just fill out the rest of this. And then once you fill out the rest of that, you can go Path of the Scion, and you can start just ripping points away from this. Now, you're going to have to respec quite a few points, especially if you go into the life down here. So, yeah, you're going to have like a ton. You're going to have a lot of respec points, but you're also going to probably need some regrets as well. And typically as Flame Blast, I get the Amplify nodes and the Blast Radius nodes as well, because those are really good, so I respec those. You're going to have to respec LE Overload, so there's quite a bit to respec with this build. It's kind of expensive. I actually dodged all the costs of respecking because I played this build originally, got 5 lab trials, couldn't find the 6th one, even when I was like level 89, and then they did that, I think it was a reallocation of the skill points on the beta. So what happened is they reset people's tree, who had already taken a skill point, I think. So what I did was I had already did Merciless Lab, so I basically spec'd right into Path of the Shadow, because typically what you would do is you'd want Hierophant and Assassin, right? Before you get Path of the Shadow. But I had completed my last Uber Lab trial on a different character, so I had all 6 trials completed, and I had all the Merciless points. So what I did is I just put them into this to get Path of the Shadow. So when I got my respec points, I just started from the Shadow, actually, and allocated all this out. So I saved a bunch of points for specking, but you'd basically have to respect, like, all this, or it depends on which way you come, I guess. All this as well, all this, any of the life nodes. I had to respect quite a bit, because I went all the way down to, like, Totemic Zeal. So, just a lot of respect points, but it's pretty simple, really. Yeah, the most... You're just going to respect all that, and then or respect all that, and then the Amplify nodes, the Blast Radius node, and the Overload node. I normally keep Flame Blast, though, until, like, probably like level 80 or so. You can actually transition quicker now, because we're going to be able to get the Threshold Jewel from the vendor, and normally I at least, like, one first snow. So I, like, in a Soul Mantle before I swap over, so... I think at like level 80 I got my first snow in a Soul Mantle. And then that's when I started to transition. What I did is I transitioned this stuff first, right? So I took points out of the Blast Radius, the Overload, and the Amplify, and stuff like that. And then I changed the way that I pathed into some of this stuff over here. and that got me enough points to kind of get over to the side of the tree and get some of the crit. And then eventually you would just keep putting points in until you got to here, and then you'd go all the way back to the start. I think this was going to be like level 87 when I had enough to finish this out. Um, yeah, but then I just ended up waiting for the respec, so. But yeah, it's probably like at least 30 regrets. So I think that's pretty much answers the questions on how I level with Scion. It's basically just SRS until Flame Blast totems, and you obviously start with, you can mule like Freezing Pulse and Arcane Surge and a Fire Trap. I think a Scion gets Fire Trap, so you just need to mule the Freezing Pulse and Arcane Surge and use dual wands. And then you get SRS, minion damage, and the, what is it called? I can't remember it's the attacks, the one that makes your attacks AoE basically. Wow. I feel like I should restart this video. Yeah, I don't remember when we look it up because it's a really well made guide. So yeah, that's pretty much how you level as the Scion. Just don't worry about the whole respecking until probably like the high 80s or something like that in terms of respecting all these out of these points. So yeah, it's definitely a pain in the ass, and this is part of the reason why I'm not going to be going Scion, because I think that Elementalist is just faster, and I'm probably going to be farming currency on the character as well as sort of pushing ladder a bit. So Elementalist is just faster, and you don't have to respec as many points, is the bottom line. So yeah. But this is still a great build, and the ease of the power charges you're going to have with the Hierophant node is quite nice. So hope that covered everything, and sorry if this is a bit long, but kind of maybe ranted in a few places or went on a bit of a tangent, but hope this helped. If you need any more explanation, I can try and explain it better in the comments or whatever, so don't hesitate to ask if this didn't quite cover everything. So thanks again, and talk to you guys later.